This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
Over 4 years since I've detransitioned, and not a single doctor who I have been to has been able to help me with any of my concerns.
Does it legalize marijuana in any way, shape, or form?
We just left a perfectly good airport right behind us. Let's do a U-turn and get right back down on the ground.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. Do no harm. The HHS department just unleashed sweeping crackdowns on gender treatments for children.
Today we are taking 6 decisive actions guided by gold standard science and the week 1 executive order from President Trump to protect children from chemical and surgical mutilation. This morning I signed a declaration. Sex-rejecting procedures are neither safe nor effective treatment for children with gender dysphoria.
Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy.
On my watch, HHS will stand for radical transparency and informed consent. We follow the evidence. We employ gold standard science. We honor the moral obligation to do no harm.
The ban takes the form of 2 new proposed rules for Medicaid and Medicare. The first would prohibit doctors and hospitals from receiving federal Medicaid reimbursement for those younger than 18. The second would block all federal Medicaid and Medicare funding to any hospital that provides gender reassignment surgery or treatment to minors. Chloe Cole is an advocate and detransitioner.
It's been 5 years since I've had my mastectomy, over 4 years since I've detransitioned, and not a single doctor who I have been to has been able to help me with any of my concerns.
The American Civil Liberties Union already announced plans to sue to stop the rules. Kennedy's thoughts?
The number of lawsuits with my name on it right now is almost beyond counting. So everything that we do here, we have excellent general counsel.
President Trump signed an executive order today that reclassifies marijuana as a less dangerous drug.
Does it legalize marijuana in any way, shape, or form, and in no way sanctions its use as a recreational drug? It has nothing to do with it.
He says it'll open the door for more medical research. NASCAR driver Greg Biffle and his family were killed in a small plane crash this morning in Statesville, North Carolina. Authorities held a press conference this afternoon.
The airport now is closed until further notice. It'll take some time to get the debris off the runway.
In all, 6 people were killed. That plane crashed on landing. Inside, Greg Biffle, his wife Christina, his daughter Emma, and his son Ryder. Aviation expert Chris Dunn tells WCNC the fact that the plane turned around and headed back to the airport not long after takeoff indicates they had a significant issue.
We just left a perfectly good airport right behind us. Let's do a U-turn and get right back down on the ground.
The FAA is on the ground now investigating. The markets are happy today. The Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ are on a high after brand new numbers out this morning show inflation easing. The Labor Department's Consumer Price Index grew at an annual rate of 2.7% in November. That's down from 3% in September.
And that is much lower than was expected.
Bankrate financial analyst Stephen Cate says the tightening labor market is finally having an impact.
If consumers are not running out to spend as much, then that's going to have less upward pressure on prices.
If December shows more cooling of inflation, the Fed may cut interest rates again in early 2026. The president gave a primetime speech touting his work on the economy last night, but polling shows Americans aren't feeling as spectacular about the cost of things as Donald Trump is. CBS's Major Garrett.
The American public across the spectrum, even among Trump supporters, are not feeling bullish about the economy, and nearly as bullish as the president sounded last night.
Lawmakers are leaving Washington for Christmas break without extending Obamacare subsidies. Caitlin Huey-Burns has more.
We're not going to see any action on health care until next year. That is the bottom line here. Mike Johnson told us last night that because of the rules in the House that say you have to have 7 days to consider a discharge petition, that they won't bring it up until January.
And the cost of youth sports was the focus of a House hearing this week. On average, parents will pay over $1,000 per child per year on on youth sports.
What's happened is we've created these travel teams, which used to only exist in high school. They pushed down to middle school, and now they go all the way down to second grade. And once we create these travel teams, which are often private, the cost goes from a couple $100s a year to several $1,000s a year. And it starts structurally pushing aside a lot of kids who can't afford it. We've allowed the travel team environment to sort of take over.
Tom Ferry with the Aspen Institute says youth sports is a $40 billion a year industry. 70% of kids drop out of organized sports by the time they reach 9th grade. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, windy weather ahead. Pennsylvania votes to expand abortion, and it's angel tree season. Those stories after our forecast. Next.
Good evening. I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast for tonight. Cloudy, or where it's not cloudy, turning cloudy, and some rain will arrive overnight. There'll be a few rumbles of thunder late tonight and tomorrow morning, especially in central New York and eastern Pennsylvania. Temperatures tonight in some cases will rise, falling late in western areas, and at daybreak we're mainly in the 30s and 40s, low 50s though in south central New York and eastern Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, those winds, no joke. A wind advisory kicks in at 3 p.m. for western New York and Pennsylvania, and 7 tonight for the rest of us. It'll run all the way through Saturday morning. We could top 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts as the next front moves through. Check in the stories making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania House has advanced abortion expansion legislation by a 1-vote margin. The House yesterday approved a bill that enshrines abortion rights in the state constitution. That means abortion could be legal through all 9 months of pregnancy, and taxpayers could be forced to foot the bill. The abortion expansion effort is going nowhere, though, in the state Senate. We're learning more today about how New York's new physician-assisted suicide law will work. Governor Hochul says she's signing the controversial bill after watching her own mother die from Lou Gehrig's disease.
After weeks of negotiating with the legislature, we are now going to be making medical aid in dying available to New Yorkers going forward.
Hochul says end-of-life issues are deeply personal, and those in pain from incurable disease should not be made to suffer needlessly.
The founding fathers 250 years ago envisioned a more limited government, focusing on individual rights. And it is that confluence of thought that brought me to where I am today.
6 months from now, the terminally ill with less than 6 months to live in New York will be allowed to kill themselves. Disability rights activist Lindsay Miller says assisted suicide is a slippery slope.
There's a lot of disabilities out there that many perceive as being kind of a death sentence. And I think we all have this experience when physicians give a diagnosis, and in terms of a life expectancy, it's really their best guess. And we've seen many people live beyond what their expectations of the physician was.
The Medical Aid in Dying Act includes a ban on coerced suicide. No religiously affiliated healthcare facility can be forced to offer it. There's a mandatory 5-day waiting period, and an oral request by the patient must be recorded. Also, the patient must be examined by a psychologist or a psychiatrist. A residency requirement means out-of-staters are not eligible for assisted suicide in New York. Clean water is on tap again in a western New York community. The latest in a series of boil water advisories for people in the village of Fredonia has been lifted. A disinfection system at the local water treatment plant prompted this latest warning, but Chautauqua County health officials have now given the all clear to Fredonia's tap water system. And the governor's residence in Pennsylvania was mostly repaired from an arson attack in April. The arsonist serving a long prison sentence, but the saga isn't over. Questions continue to smolder over taxpayer-funded upgrades to Josh Shapiro's private residence. $32 million was spent to repair and bolster security at the governor's residence, and $1.3 million on Shapiro's personal home.
I think it is sad that we live in a world where a governor or any other elected official needs to fortify their home in order to keep their kids safe.
A Senate committee has subpoenaed documents about the cost, calling them unprecedented. And now Senator Kristen Phillips Hill is introducing a bill to impose a lien on any private property upgraded with taxpayer money.
Certainly, we all want the governor and his family to be safe. That's why we have a governor's mansion. But this, to my constituents, is just not acceptable.
If it passes, the money would have to be paid back to the state when the property is sold. Next at 5, presents for kids with parents in prison. Let's listen in. This is Faith Under Fire. We take you straight to the front lines of religious battlegrounds. I'm news anchor Sarah Harnish, and with me today, Prison Fellowship's Jermaine Wilson. We're talking Angel Tree. You spent 7 years behind bars, had your criminal record expunged, and then later became the first full-time mayor of Leavenworth, Kansas. Father of 5, husband and minister. Wow, what a redemption story. Tell me what happened.
Growing up, I was exposed to drug crimes and violence at an early age, and I didn't understand my purpose. I was searching for love in all the wrong places, and I tried to find my identity through material things and throughout the world, which led to a long, dark path that ended up in destruction and in incarceration. And it took me going to prison to discover my purpose, because I just wanted to be loved. But it wasn't until I surrendered and gave my life to the Lord, that's when I was fulfilled and God satisfied me, and I found my identity through Christ Jesus.
What was it that ended up landing you in prison?
Possession of narcotics, became addicted to drugs, and I ended up selling drugs to supply my habit. I was just lost.
Take me inside the cell. How does Prison Fellowship operate over Christmas for those that are behind bars? And what did it mean to you to have them there?
So I was able to sign up my son to receive a gift on my behalf. Although I was in prison, not able to be physically present in my son's life, God used the church to be his hands and feet. And through God's presence, the church was able to present a gift on my behalf. And it gave me hope as a father, knowing that I still have a purpose. I still have an opportunity to let my son know that I love him, I miss him, and I'm always thinking about him.
2.7 million children in the United States have an incarcerated parent. This is a very hard time of year for them. Your children signed up for Prison Fellowship's Angel Tree program. You just mentioned that while you were incarcerated. Tell me what it was like for them to get a gift.
My son, I remember he was just sharing his experience when he received a gift during Christmas time. He was thankful and very grateful to know Dad didn't forget about him. Although Dad wasn't physically there, through that gift, he was able to feel a connection with me. And he's just always thankful knowing that I did not forget about him.
Learn more about the Angel Tree program at prisonfellowship.org. You can subscribe, listen to, and share Faith Under Fire and all of Family Life's original podcasts at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or at familylife.org.
Christmas is almost here. Hi, I'm Rob West with today's Faith and Finance Minute. Advent is a season of waiting, of longing for Christ's coming and trusting in God's perfect timing. That waiting isn't passive. It's an active expression of faith and hope. Psalm 130 verse 5 says, "I wait for the Lord, my whole being waits, and in his word I put my hope." In our finances, we often struggle with that same tension. We want results now, more savings, less debt, greater security. But just as God fulfilled his promise in sending Jesus, he's faithful to provide what we need in due time. So this Advent, let your waiting become worship. Trust his provision even when you can't see the outcome, because the same God who kept his promise at Bethlehem will keep his promises to you today. Connect with a certified Kingdom advisor who's been trained to deliver financial advice that aligns with your Christian values by visiting our website, faithfi.com.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, the $224,000 vacation earned with a Charlie Kirk t-shirt. That story after one last look at weather.
Good evening. I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. We're tracking a cold front on the way from the Midwest, and that front will mean wind and warmth. It will mean wet. It'll mean wintry as it progresses through the area. Some fast changes are ahead. Our call for tonight, cloudy or where it's not cloudy, turning cloudy, and some rain will arrive overnight. There'll be a few rumbles of thunder late tonight and tomorrow morning, especially in central New York and eastern Pennsylvania. Temperatures tonight in some cases will rise, falling late in western areas, and at daybreak we're mainly in the 30s and 40s, low 50s though in south central New York and eastern Pennsylvania. Tomorrow, windy, turning sharply colder. Morning rain, afternoon snow and flurries, and temperatures falling, ultimately to below the freeze point. On Saturday, mainly cloudy with a high temperature in the 30s to near 40.
All right, Kevin, finally at 5, turning bad things for good. A confrontation caught on camera inside a California Target store is spreading across the country. A woman confronted an elderly Target employee who was wearing a red Charlie Kirk Freedom t-shirt on the job.
Why are you taking my picture?
Why are you wearing that shirt? You're working.
The woman was recorded while she criticized employee Jeannie Beeman over the decision to wear the shirt, and then she posted the video on social media.
Whoever filmed it clearly thought this was going to be a gotcha moment.
Yeah, that post went viral. It even showed up on newspaper sites in Australia. That's when a New York woman, Cassandra McDonald, stepped in.
I was pretty horrified. It was clearly an elderly woman being berated and cussed at while she's trying to do her job.
McDonald started a Give, Send, Go fundraiser for Beeman. As of this afternoon, that page has raised $224,521. The page states, "We're hoping to raise enough so she can afford a much-needed vacation. Sorry about the ugliness." It looks like Jeannie could recharge for the rest of her life because of the gifts of strangers. And that's the world that we live in for Thursday, the 18th of December. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.